by SMI. Amy Brown State Farm, Edward Jones of Carrollton, Douglasville, and Villarica, West Georgia Plumbing, Septic and HVAC, Southland Insurance, Osher Apparel, and West Georgia Technology and Repair. We couldn't do it without them.
Well, when are you going to let me say one of those?
Never.
Oh.
We're here with Bowdon High School now, Coach Rich Finley. We've got Cooper Smith and Lane Ackles. It is a pleasure to have the Bowdon Red Devils with us. Looking a lot bigger this year. I remember seeing these guys last year. I'm sure the weight room, big thing in the offseason for you guys. Talk about your offseason. Obviously not the year you wanted, but that's in the past. It's a new year.
Yes, our off-season program has been good to our guys. We've got a lot of guys who have packed on 10, 15, some of them even 20 pounds. We're a lot bigger and stronger. And I've just been the last few head coaches that I've worked for before I got this job. The weight room is the foundation of what you do. That's going to allow you to run faster and hit harder. So we've hit it pretty hard. Had a great showing at the GACA state weightlifting meet. We were the single A state runner-up, and I think we brought home 3 individual state champions at that. So fantastic off season.
Okay, we're going to start out with your schedule, and then we'll get to you two guys also. So that'll help you get over your nervous and your shakes. Don't slide back too far, Cooper, because you'll be out of range. Coach, tell us about your schedule. Tell us about what's coming up and what's going to happen.
All right, we're excited, first of all, to get to hit a little bit Thursday,
yeah.
And then we're going to turn around Friday night and have a Midnight Madness scrimmage. We've divided our kids up and actually kind of announced our teams today. We've got 30 on the red team, 30-something on the black team, and we're going to have a scrimmage game Friday night to hit a little bit under the lights. Next Friday night, we host Community Christian School. They're a GICAA Christian League private school. They've won 3 consecutive state titles in the league they play in, and they've got a couple of talented skill kids we'll have to keep from catching the football. After that, we scrimmage Coosa. We'll go up to Coosa, and then we've got a 4.5-hour road trip to open the season down to Hahira, Georgia, down in near Valdosta to open with the Valwood School Valiants, who've got a really good football team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coach, one of the, going 1-9 is really not, what Bowdon is used to. And I know that's tough on you and changing that. But I want to tell you, to have seen what you guys have accomplished over the calendar year from last season, to get the numbers back up to 60-something kids. A lot of things we see when a team goes 1-9, you got a mass exodus going on of kids leaving. But you seem to be getting more kids out. You got a lot of kids right now who are getting offers to go to other places to play at the next level. And so the leadership and things that you've got a lot of these kids to buy into, kudos to you and your staff and to the leadership that you've got on your team, because it would have been easy to turn and run, because like I said, it would have been easier to go somewhere else. Okay, I can go here and go 15-0, or I can stay here and be 1-9, and then we're going to improve it and get ourselves back into the playoffs the way it is supposed to be. And so give me, and you guys can answer this too, what is some of those things as far as leadership guys that you have gotten other kids to buy in to work harder? That 1-9 is not acceptable, and what we needed to do.
Well, I think the first meeting when I got there, when we hired our staff, was we're here to build a football program, and to do that, you've got to establish culture, number 1, and discipline, number 2. And sometimes kids don't buy into that right off the bat. But if you want to sustain a program over time, those are the more important things than winning. And that was our goal coming in. Now, you put that together with there were 28 kids in the program. It makes it a tough first year. We had 27 kids when I was at the banquet who they received their first year letter, their first year ever playing football. So now we're coming back with 63 kids. The 28 that we had, the 27 who were newbies, we've got 50-something kids that were on this team last year, and 20-something that started. We've got a lot of experience back and a lot of depth back. So, those were key things for us, and I think when you're doing things the right way and you're working kids hard, they know you're doing the right things, and they buy into that process. The weight room was big for us, because once kids put a year in there, better, and they started looking better in the mirror, started getting bigger, faster, and stronger, looking better at combines that they went to. That was another buy-in factor for us. But I think the most important thing are the type of guys that I hired. They're all great relationship with kids type people, and if you've got that and kids trust you, that's going to bring numbers up, and that's going to bring your culture where it needs to be and your work ethic where it needs to be.
Now, Cooper, at the end of the season last year, because I've been to the end of the seasons myself, and I've always asked my players to look in the mirror and make some sort of a I'm going to do this next year, a pledge to themselves. So last year when you finished, what pledge did you make to Cooper Smith to do something different this year? What was your pledge to Cooper?
Just to play a lot harder and physical. Took some plays off last year I shouldn't have, but this year.
See, I understand that. I do. I understand taking plays off, and it's easy. So now when I come out there and I'm standing on the sidelines and I see 54, and I think, he ain't taking no plays off. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, sir.
I believe it.
Sir.
Lane, how about you? What have you decided that you're going to do different or whatever this year?
I decided, to play harder than I did last year, play better, and pick my team up when we're down. Sometimes, you're 20 points down. You got to pick your team up, strive them to make them better, keep going, instead of having heads down in the fourth quarter.
Now our job here is to uplift you guys. I mean, that's what we don't want. That's what we want to do. And I know for you, Cooper, you've had the opportunity to go to a lot of different camps. I know we've posted about you a lot, going to a lot of camps. Talk about some of those and what those did for you in the off season.
It really improved my pass blocking, going against a lot better talent, and they just taught me a bunch of fundamental stuff and techniques that really helped me throughout the season. Yeah. I feel like.
Now it's my turn. Coach, at the end of last year, when you looked Rich Finley in the mirror, what did you do in your heart to make different this year?
Well, the first thing I looked at when we got through was how hard did our kids play from the first scrimmage to game 10.
Yeah.
And as rough as the season was for us, we got better and better and better each week, and we were playing our best football at the end of the year. So I knew our kids had bought in. So my big question, for myself and for our staff was, all right, what can we do this offseason to keep the kids that we have in our program? Keep our middle school kids in our program. Can we show up more down there with those kids so that our ninth graders are a little more ready when they come up to us from the eighth grade? Can our kids get bigger and stronger and faster where they have more confidence? And then again, just being ahead of where we were at this time last year, brings the confidence level of your football team up.
And I think too, that last game that you got the opportunity to play, to win that one, because there were several games early in the season that you guys lost by like a couple of points, two or 3 points here and there, that as a young team, it's hard to know how to win, to how to finish those out. But as you guys finished the season, you won that one. Now you've got something to build off of going into getting ready to go down to Valwood to make that trip. And so, because that was a pretty close game last year, and y'all were very close to winning that one along with several other ones. So now, learning how to win was one of the big things that y'all were able to get those kids to believe in there at the end.
Yes, sir. I agree with you. Young kids, it's hard to know how to close out a game. And I remember having conversations with our coaching staff after each game. There were different scenarios that our kids didn't know how to close out, didn't know that it was a 4th and 15 situation or a pass interference call here, or, getting this 2 yards earlier on the drive to sustain the drive and keep it going. Our young kids were put in situations they'd never been in, and just us talking now, we know that we're going to be in those similar situations this year, and hopefully we're going to know how to close those situations out and win those close football games.
Kind of looking here at the master schedule that we have, we've got you playing, of course, Valwood, the first game coming up on August 23rd. Then you got the big game with Bowdon, then Monticello. Then you have a 2-week gap, if I'm not mistaken, if this is right. How are you? Did you plan for that to happen, obviously, or is this kind of the way it kind of fell in?
We didn't plan. Somebody dropped. As soon as I got the job, somebody dropped us and didn't want to play, and it was during that week, and then Valwood agreed to play very, very early in the year. Most times I don't like the 2-week
before region, especially, yeah.
But for the game that we have, if there's one team in our region that 2 weeks is very beneficial, it's North Cobb Christian. They're a very disciplined football team. They're a triple option football team, it gives you 2 weeks to rep what they do. So even last year, I was pleased to go in. That was a game we lost on an interference call, 19-15 late, and then they ended up finishing the season 11-2. One of the better football teams in our region on our side. So that week kind of falls good for us as far as who we play. Now, any other team you might not want 2 weeks. That's a long layoff, 21 days or whatnot. Right. But it falls probably for the right team, the right time for us this year.
So obviously we've heard of Cooper, we've heard of Lane, we've seen these guys play over the last couple of years. I want you guys to give me a player that we have not heard of on Bowdon that's going to make an impact this year.
Whoa.
I know, that's a big question. I put through.
Eeny, meeny, miny, pick one.
Robert McNeil.
Robert McNeil, what position does he play? Tell us a little bit about him. Okay.
He's a freshman coming in, newbie, but I got faith in him, starting quarterback. But I believe y'all going to be hearing his name a lot this year.
Okay, awesome. What about you, Cooper?
I got two, Tanner Gray Tanner Langley and Garrett Gray. They both play hard. Tanner's a sophomore and Garrett's going to be a junior. Plays defense line. Garrett plays offense line. Tanner's fullback. They're great weight room guys and very physical.
All right, Coach, finish it off. Who we going to be looking for this year?
Well, I would agree with those three guys. I've got two that I'm going to come with, too, that I think are going to have really good years, and we're counting on to have good years. One is a senior. His name's Ben Fortson.
Oh, yeah.
He was probably our overall best player a year ago. Two-way player, doesn't come off the field a whole lot. We do have a little depth this year, so he'll get a few more breaks than he has. But he was our leading receiver last year, and I think he was number 2 on the team in rushing yards. And I'm going to throw this name out because it'll be a name you probably hear for the next 3 years, but Gage Stevens, he's our sophomore tailback. Had to play some fullback last year. Fastest kid in our program. He's been laser timed about 4.59. He was our leading rusher last year as a 14-year-old ninth grader.
Wow.
He's gotten bigger and stronger, and he's not the same looking kid as he was a year ago. Plays both ways for us as well, but I think this will be a breakout year for him as well.
Ben Fortson, he made that catch in the Gordon League game.
Oh, yeah.
Center fielder. One of the best baseball catches I've seen, so I know Ben's going to have a good year for you guys.
Now, moving into that, small schools, just like we said a few minutes ago, has to share athletes. We got to go to Gordon Lee and saw Ben and Powell and some of those other kids who play football who also play other sports. So I'm going to ask you the same question, Coach. I know that it would be real easy to say, thou shalt not play any other game. You have got to concentrate on football only. Y'all don't do that. And I know what the answer is going to be because, being in Hogansville and so forth. Why don't you do that?
Well, number one, I'm one of the few. I'm going to say I'm one of the few. I know that I'm one of the few guys, when I take over a strength program, it's not for football in the school. It is for the entire sports program. My wife's the head girls basketball coach, and I've got every girls basketball player coming through me during the day. Our baseball team comes through me during the day. Coach Vance does a great job of getting those kids in. So I think a kid that plays multiple sports, number one, is a mentally tougher kid. I think they have a little bit of a what I call the winner attitude about them. The Carter Powell kid, the Luke Rainwater. We've got about 7 baseball players, and those kids are the kids that our program can't do without. They're winners. They're high character kids. They're going to be the kids that determine whether we get over the hump and win 5 or 6 games or win more than that this year. By what they do. It's also the reason we don't have spring practice. We have 7 or 8 playing deep in baseball. our 4x1 team was at the state meet. We had 2 kids qualifying 100 meters. We got football kids that play tennis, and I'm all for it. I've got two youngins, Madden and Jackson, and they play baseball, basketball, and football, and they're going to do that all the way through high school. That's what attracted me to the small school, single A and double A schools. So I'm a big advocate. I think it makes for a tougher kid all the way around, and that's what you want to play with on Friday night.
You got anything else, Coach?
No, Coach about summed it all up. Just excited about getting ready to come down and see the transformation, because I was able to come down last year. So I don't know how y'all did it last year on like 2 days of pads, and then y'all turn around and play scrimmage. I mean, I was like, I've never seen that before.
It was tough, and I do want to make sure that everybody out there knows our first scrimmage, it wasn't away on our original schedule,
right.
but with stadium additions to their stadium, they couldn't play there. So we will be playing next Friday night. Down in Bowdon.
At 7 o'clock?
At 7:30. 7:30.
Okay.
So
yeah, we'll make sure. I know that we told them that it had been changed, but we'll make sure to get the time at 7:30. So,
yes,
Midnight Madness, how you feel about that real quick? Midnight Madness, there's nothing else better than that. I mean,
Black team's going to win.
Wait a minute. Which team's going to win?
Black team.
Well, you just didn't sound real confident.
Black team's going to win.
Oh, okay.
So is it kind of like a first offense, first defense kind of thing, or did y'all split the kids up pretty
really
evenly?
more split pretty evenly.
Awesome. That's what I like.
Our
Yeah.
kids, it was like winning the Super Bowl today when those teams were announced and came out. So we're going to hopefully have a pretty hard-fought, pretty even scrimmage.
Yeah.
We're looking at
Awesome.
some ones playing with some twos and vice versa, and trying to find out who's going to be able to play and get it done on next Friday night for us.
Awesome. So if you don't have anything to do on Friday,
Lane did get a chance.
go ahead,
to say
Lane.
who's gonna win.
Obviously, he's going to say the white team,
Well,
right?
don't bet on it. He may be on.
I believe the red team's going to win.
Oh, the red team. So red and black. Awesome. But so if you don't have anything to do and you're in Bowdon on Friday night around midnight, just head on over to the field and see them play.
Go to the Southern Lady first,
Yeah.
and then go to the ball game.
They might have to convince
Well,
the
we got
folks
some
that,
cornhole going on from 7 to 9. All it'll cost you is a box of protein bars. We're trying to nutrition
All right,
our
well, there you
kids
go.
up. No entry fee other than a box of protein bars.
Protein bars. A box.
a box of protein bars.
box.
Okay. Any brands that you particularly?
It doesn't matter. We just want a nutrition after we lift and after we come off the practice field.
Awesome.
So all that's going straight to our kids.
Well, perfect. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Lane Ackles, Cooper Smith, Coach Rich Finley for the Bowdon Red Devils. When we come back, we're going to be sitting down with the Central Lions here on the Team SMI Starting Lineup Media Day, presented by SMI, right here on the Graddick Sports Radio Network.